Welcome back to Central News. Kanuka honey has been labelled as the next super honey, so researcher Professor Shaun Holt is undertaking what could be the world's biggest research into its medicinal uses. Shaun knows Kanuka honey helps with acne, cold sores and nappy rash, and is now wanting to further his research into its impact on other skin conditions. Katrina met Shaun to find out all about the super honey and his research.
How were you led to the research of Kanuka honey?
Look, I've got a big interest in natural health, and I read a lot of papers on the use of honey, and it's a fascinating thing. Honey has been used for over 4,000 years as a medical treatment, and there are some good papers hidden in the medical literature, and I was just amazed by its properties. You know, honey from 4,000 years ago is still edible today. I think that's quite remarkable in itself. And when you look at the lab work that's been done, it kills just about any bug. Even MRSA, which is by definition resistant to just about every antibiotic we have, and it closes hospital wards, costs billions of dollars around the world, honey just melts it away. And it's got other properties as well, and when you look at all the properties, it should be very effective as a pharmaceutical.
So honey in general is a super honey?
Honey is just wonderful, and I couldn't recommend it more. And even the medical profession realise this. If you talk to some of the older doctors, they'll say, yes, in my day we used to use honey on wounds and things, and we know it's wonderful. What we're trying to do is bring some solid research behind that. So it's all great to have anecdotes and reports, that's fine, but some good solid published clinical trials, and we think we can turn it into pharmaceutical drugs. You know, it costs $1 billion to develop a new pharmaceutical drug. It's incredible. But we think we can take Kanuka honey to the same level.
What is it about Kanuka that aids in the healing of acne, cold sores and nappy rash?
Well, all honeys have some common properties, so all honeys are effective, but then they're also slightly different as well. They all have different levels of sugars and chemicals and all these things. So in general, all honey will kill just about most bugs. It's excellent, a hygroscopic agent. That means a moisturiser to you and me, just about the best moisturiser we know. So for dry skin conditions like eczema, it should be helpful. It's also a barrier as well, so it can, on wounds it'll prevent further infection getting in. So it has all these properties. And then of course we know that Manuka factor, and Manuka honey is famous. It has high levels of what's called methyl glyoxal, also known as Manuka factor, which has extra bug killing activity in layman's terms. And when you look at Kanuka, we found even higher levels still. So we're looking at Kanuka. Manuka's a great product, don't get me wrong, I'm certainly not putting it down. We're looking at Kanuka, we think it's got slightly better properties for what we want to use it for, which is application to the skin for medical conditions. And also we have a beautiful, clean, secure supply here in the Western Bay of Plenty.
Now tell us about this research that could be the world's largest research on medicinal uses of honey.
There isn't many trials on the uses of honey. There's a few for burns and a few for wounds, and they're solid and we know it works for those conditions. We want to look at common skin conditions for everyday people, not just those with burns and wounds in hospital. So for acne, psoriasis, nappy rash, rosacea, cold sores, impetigo, common things that are out there. We think it's going to work. If you look at the properties of honey, and if you look at people's reports, people are saying, hey, it works for these things, which is a great starting point. We're trying to show it in research that it does actually work.
And I understand that there's a clinical trial for 5 skin conditions which you've mentioned. How do you anticipate going about that?
So we've triggered this research program, which we think is definitely the world's biggest clinical research program. That means in people. There's been a little bit of research in honey in people, but not much. Most of the work is lab work. So it's looking at Manuka factor levels and pollen counts, and that's all interesting. But what really interests me as a doctor is, does it help patients? That's what I'm interested in. So what we do in the research, we do small studies to start with, what you call pilot studies, and they tell you if it's probably going to work or not. The ones that do work, we're going to put into big studies with 200, 300, 400 people to prove beyond doubt it works and is safe. And then we can actually register these as medicines with the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in America, which is very exciting for the country.
And what could this research potentially mean for those that have these skin allergies?
Well, not just allergies. Eczema is an allergy, you're quite right, but also other inflammatory conditions like psoriasis it may be helpful for, and really infections like impetigo and cold sores. To give you an example, one study that was done in Dubai honey, the local honey in the UAE over there, and they compared honey for cold sores with Zavirax, which is a popular drug, you've probably heard about it. On its own, a cold sore lasted 5 days. With Zavirax, which sells a couple of $1 billion a year, the healing time went down to 4.5 days. Not much of improvement. With honey, it was down to 1.5 days. I think that's phenomenal. So that's the sort of thing we're trying to achieve. The product is out there at the moment. People can go try it now. So you can wait for the research, or you can give it a go. Because it's safe, you can give it a go. But I can't prove it's going to work for you. The key thing, if you're putting it on your skin, and I must emphasise this, it's got to be medical grade honey. So medical grade honey is purified in a 2-stage process. Regular honey is fine to eat, but does have impurities, and you wouldn't want to put it on your skin. You can get reactions.
But with this honey, you can actually taste it and eat it?
You could do. It'd be quite expensive because it's, it's very highly processed to get rid of all the impurities. But yeah, you can absolutely put it on your toast and eat it.
And when do you anticipate the research to be completed?
The pilot studies are small and quick, and we should have most of the results within 2 to 3 months. And that won't prove it, as I say, but it'll say it probably works. And then to put a full programme of research to prove it, about 1 to 2 more years.
Keep an ear out for Kanuka honey to help skin conditions.